Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is Brittany Jennings and Hope Carey, and we are coming to you live, thankfully to Zoom, the app that is connecting all of us. I feel like I'm doing commercials for Zoom now. So how are you, Hope?
Good, really good.
Good, you look good.
Well, thank you. I put on makeup a little bit today.
I keep joking that, like, because I'm working from home, this is my week 6, that my videos are what's keeping me like in a schedule and a routine for showering and makeup and deodorant and all that good stuff.
I didn't do anything with my hair. Ponytail is the go-to, but that's okay. You got more than most people do lately.
You're looking good. So, for a lot of people that are watching, they know you. You've been in the industry for quite some time now. But can you tell the audience that's watching a little bit about yourself and just kind of your experience in the industry?
Sure. The hat that I'm wearing today, we'll kind of start there and then I'll kind of go backwards. The hat that I'm wearing today is Manatee County Aging Networks as the president, and some of the things we've been doing for emergency response in our area. In general, I've worked on and off in long-term care scenarios. My mother was a nurse, grew up in it. She was a home health nurse. She was a hospital nurse. She never worked in skilled. I worked in skilled, but I've been in some facet of healthcare. I always tell this story and people think I'm nuts. My dad was a real estate developer. He bought and sold real estate, and my mom was a nurse. So I've always been around those two parts of the world. Those, if you ask me what I'm obsessive about, it's about those two things. And I've worked in the assisted living communities and some skilled nursing communities here locally. And I've done community education, I think for 9 years now, whether it be for the Alzheimer's Association or in general speaking out to senior groups. So University of Kentucky has a Sanderson Brown Center, and Sanderson Brown Center was in the forefront of Alzheimer research. So I had exposure to Alzheimer research before I knew I was going to need it. Because as a freshman in college, my sophomore year is when my grandmother got diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and I started becoming obsessed with studying that part of the world too. So it's just kind of been a culmination of life experiences that I can't get away from. I keep trying to run away from healthcare and I can't.
I think that it's definitely, like, for me too, like, it's grabbed a hold of us, and I'm not sure, like, I don't want to let go. I don't think we can let go at this point. We're just holding on for dear life, and doing our best.
Right, absolutely.
So I'm so happy that you're here with us today, because what you're doing, and we talked before this call, and Renee actually from LSF had been telling me a lot too, but we're excited today to talk about the Manatee Sarasota PPE masks. And
Yes.
this is the name of a group, an organization that you've put together, and with your personal experience of everything that's happened, with your industry experience. Tell us a little bit about kind of the mission behind this group and how it got started.
Okay. So the mission is to keep people safe, and how it got started is there were a group of us who, as we were kind of going into a different world where we were just starting to hear that actually even before we had our first verified case in the United States, that this was going on and it was heading our way. And we were calling because during December, you don't have meetings. We don't, Manatee County Aging Network doesn't have meetings. And we had started to set up what our meetings were going to look like going forward, our education series, what speakers we were going to have. And as you're starting to hear in the background that we're preparing as a country for a diagnosis of COVID amongst United States people, then we started going, oh, what does this look like for us? It was just barely some indication that we may have to brace ourselves for something that was coming our way. So it really sort of started talking about what speakers we were going to have. At the same time that was going on, I had just finished a class that I was teaching at Ringley called Know It Before You Need It. And The class at Ringling was helping people prepare for long-term care planning, how to get all their ducks in a row, and et cetera. And this class that I had of 24 people, we really got close over the 8-week class. And I really was immersed in the world of that pre-planning age group, the age group that's 60, some of them were in their 80s, some of them were caregivers, some of them weren't. I got into some really deep discussions about what they seen in our county's areas and what they needed. So as Manatee County Aging Network starts talking about topics, I was bouncing topics off of them. So they had become an informal advisory board for Manatee County Aging Network. As the healthcare crisis started to exacerbate and we started to shift our focus from what our monthly meetings were going to be into as an aging network that is funneled down from the area on aging, is what should we be doing during this time? And I made a call to our state board. Charlotte McHenry, had a conversation with her about what does my role look like as the president of Mcan if we're supposed to be serving our seniors, and we're going into at first a national crisis, and then what would eventually, we knew it was starting to come, it hadn't come to Florida yet. When it hit Florida, what was that supposed to look like? And then down from a state level onto the local county level. So we had started having discussions at a state level, because I sit on Senior Connection Center's board. I sit on their PR board and I sit on their finance board. The finance board helps determine where funds are coming into our area. So part of my job on that board is to understand programs that are being funded from a state level and how they are affecting seniors, and also helping at a state level talk to them about what programs are rolling out in our area that may even be grassroots efforts that people don't know about, so that we're able to provide people with resources when they start looking for them. So Charlotte and I started having that discussion about what it looks like to be an emergency response in the midst of this type of crisis. I had never been in that role from a 501c3 standpoint. I had been in buildings before. I was in a building and was quarantined during H1N1 and actually slept in the building and responded to the residents. It was the memory care building at the time, and all of our residents had memory care. So as a part of the administrative team that was quarantined, I know what that side of the world feels like when the outside world is going on and doesn't really get to feel the implications of this population that is now being quarantined, especially because they're high risk and their immunities are at risk, is what is it that you have to do? So we started talking right then, and I told the members of the board as we were talking, and I had a conversation with our advisory board. I said, we've got a situation that we're going to be dealing with. Because if this comes to our area, because we have such a geriatric population and we have such a high incidence of nursing homes, assisted living, et cetera, is that we're going to be in a real crisis. I've been, like I said, I've been in those crises before. And you know that you don't look at something you've never seen before to have supplies ready to respond. And again, this is still before we knew what that was even going to look like. So what we did is we decided to poll our community. Part of our mission statement says that we find out what we need to serve our senior citizens by asking our senior citizens and the agencies that serve them, what do you need from us? And part of our advisory board, I put them on the task of having conversations with their communities, having conversations with the hospitals, skilled nursing, et cetera. And we have a doctor who is an advisor who sits on our board. He's retired. His name's Dr. David Kling. So I'm giving him a little shout out because he's been really helpful to hear in his experience and to have him as a go-between between us and the doctors, because he can speak doctor language to them. Once our poll was out there and came back resoundingly, what the community said they needed were masks. So we said, okay, we're going to shift focus. I found out from a state level whether we could shift our funds that we have for our grants that typically had gone to 501c3s, and could they go to the community at large and saving lives, because our population was the one that was most at risk of dying from the diagnosis.
Right.
So we started just like people sitting around going, let's make masks. And had any of us ever made masks? No, but we were going to figure out who the people were that were making masks, because at the time they were already starting to get difficult to buy online. At the same time, I heard that there was a girl, her name's Cassie, and since I haven't asked her if I can share her name, she sells medical devices to the hospitals. Cassie had started a Facebook group, and at the time it had a different name, and we've since switched over. Cassie started a Facebook group and started making masks too. And somebody introduced the two of us and said, why don't you all do this together? So Cassie and I started going, okay, let's blow this up because we need to get it in front of the curve. So we started asking for volunteers. We started asking for money. We started asking people in our community to step up and be a part of a mask making project that we didn't even really know where to go with.
How many volunteers are you up to now?
All together, not within the Facebook group, but all together with the people that are working behind the scenes, about 2,500.
Oh my goodness. Wow. That's even grown like about 1,000 in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, there have been a couple places that have done a call for volunteers. Ringling College was one, so they sent out a email blast to their database. Goodwill, who did step up during this process and donated 89,000 pounds of 100% cotton material to us.
Wow.
So it went out in Goodwill's database. So that database that they normally send out to, they send out to, and we had people step up there. And the church that I belong to, Bayside Community Church, also sent out, and they did 2 promos on their Sundays, one of them on Easter Sunday and one of them on the following Sunday to ask for volunteers.
What an amazing response.
It's been nice. It's continued to grow, and the management of it has been one of the harder parts of it, because how do you manage that many volunteers and find out what their skill sets are and what they can do? And then the other part of it is, once people realized we were making masks, is we've gotten more requests than we can produce. So we have a call at 2:00 today to look at some no-sew masks, which have been proven by the CDC to be effective also. And we're working with some high school groups. So we're also becoming an intergenerational project now too.
I love that. So with distribution, how does that work for people that do that, you know, whether it's professionals or people are at home and they have parents that are in need of masks? How does the distribution part work?
Well, we started out just randomly through the Facebook group. Facebook has been a huge tool for us because we wanted to have one communication mode that we kept Messenger running. So somebody would say, I've got masks ready. We would give, you know, we collected a database of the people that were currently involved, and we just started daily trying to stay ahead of it. And it quickly became overwhelming. So what Bayside said that they would do, because they have about 600 volunteers on their roster already, is that they had a volunteer management program that they would help us set up and input anybody into. So it's a CRM. It's a CRM that once you fill in the information, it goes into a spreadsheet and it manages volunteers. So it's a lot like some of what I've heard daycares use it for their staff, and restaurants use it. So they helped us over the period of about a couple-week period get everybody put into a database so that they could manage the distribution, both of fabric to people, picking up from people, and then back to the community.
Wow. It's just it's unbelievable to think about all these people. I love it. I think I keep talking about this, and today it's like the theme is like this connection that go through all of this, everything that everybody's going through individually, whether you're a healthcare worker or working from home, whatever it may be. It's just amazing that these connections that are being made, and that 2,500 people are dedicating, whether it's finances or time or whatever it might be, to help this cause.
And some of the people weren't even from this area. I even had one woman that drove all the way from Tampa to bring, she made masks out of the blue towels that you use Bradenton Police Department right now is using those because they had a need. They had a request. We couldn't get the sewn mask made quick enough. And I had been talking to this woman online and looked at the research behind it. And she says, I have somebody ready. One of my volunteers, we will drive them down from Tampa to get them to Bradenton. So it's even gone beyond our county to people that are outside that are helping volunteer. And some of that, I've had some people in my hometown who've donated money just to be, just to help us with the process.
What's the biggest need that you would say that as a group that we could contribute to, whether it's, again, like a healthcare professional that's watching or a senior that is on the call right now on the live? What are some of the needs of the group?
The needs, when we started this and realized that we were going to have to prioritize how we got mass out, we really had to break it down into acute need. And acute need really started at a hospital level because those are the people that are right in the face of COVID right now. They're the people that are not the people who are the milder diagnoses that may be at home. They're the people who are face to face. And as you've heard a lot in the news now is that the PPEs nobody could have prepared. They couldn't have done the job to prepare because nobody would have ever guessed that we would have the need that we have right now. So when we as a group sat down, we're doing calls 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, to stay ahead of the healthcare needs so that we can respond as the healthcare scenarios comes along and as the CDC identifies what are the most effective masks. We're having to stay abreast of that too, because if you are going to provide PPEs with people, you want to know that they are efficient. Exactly. So we started with, and we're still there, is providing the hospitals with, now it's not that we haven't provided other people. I've had people reach out to me who may have a caregiver in the home. One of them was a young boy. He had a specific type of cancer and he was highly at risk. His mom quit her job to stay at home with her. So those 1-off, 2-offs that we need. We've also provided masks to the police departments and the firefighters. Ideally, in a perfect world, we would make sure that the hospitals had enough. And I forget how many SOIST we're up to. And then where we would bleed down is to the assisted living communities, partially because it's not as regulated federally and they don't have access to what the hospitals have as far as monies and as far as the ability to have the PPEs and then skilled. So that's kind of where we are right now. Again, we're still doing the 1-off and 2-offs because we have over 55 communities that we've had volunteers that just took it on to do something that their skill level may not be what the skill level is for the product that needs to go in the hospital, but they're still helping their community at large.
I love that. So are you looking for more volunteers? Are
Always.
You looking for funding, for material? What are some of those kind of needs that you might see right now?
So any of it, truthfully. We cannot have enough people to be able to provide, whether it's no-sew masks, and they're making those, whether it's cutters that are getting the fabric ready to go for the sewers, whether it's a sewer who is wants to reach out and do that. We also need money because there are things that we need to buy. I bought scissors yesterday because the other part of it I realized is apparently scissors go dull during all of this when you're doing a lot of sewing. We will provide sewing machines to the sewists who used to be sewers that may not have one with them because they retired, they moved, they downsized. So anything that somebody wants, if somebody has an idea, where we are more than welcome to hear how we can partner as a community, because if there is anything that has been amazing, it is the community stepping up and just being part of a mission that we've taken on all together. So if anybody wants to volunteer in any way, shape, or form, we will take a volunteer and we will figure out your skill sets and where you would fit best. And of course, if anybody's willing to volunteer time, we're open to it. I've told people sometimes when they call, if you could give 15 minutes a day, that's enough.
Well, that's awesome. I do want to talk really quickly. I opened up the Facebook group. It's called Manatee Sarasota PPE Mask.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that if you're watching and you want to know more information about the group or join the group, certainly type this in on Facebook. Is there any other way? Hope, where's the funding page? If somebody does want to be able to provide some donations for that, where do they do that?
If you go to Manatee County Aging Network, you want to pull that up real quick?
Facebook, correct?
You can go through both Facebook and through our website. And let me see, because this is something else that we had taken on that I've had to put somebody full-time on. So we may have to actually go to the website because, oh, there we go.
Oh, I wonder if it's under fundraisers here.
I don't even know because I honestly have somebody, see what happens if you click raise money or go to, I know for sure because we tested it last night and I donated.
Okay, so go to what one more time? I'm sorry, raise money?
The website, let's try that because I don't know. I've got 3 people working on the website and the Facebook page right now. And that's one of the things that we've had people volunteer is our technology was not where it needed to be able to handle this.
Ah, here it is.
There you go.
Okay. So this is what clicks right from the get-go when you go to manateecountyAgingNetwork.org and click that, and then here we go. So you can volunteer. So click to see volunteer opportunities, pickup and delivery, mass material delivery availability.
And to donate money is right there on the clickable link. We are a 501c3, so any monies that are donated can be donated this way and they can be written off. Also, we, if there are agencies that want to donate in kind, we have in-kind forms that we can accept donations of products that way. So say, for example, it's scissors or say it's fabric, we can do some sort of in-kind donation. And those we've been hammering out as we go, because again, we've never been here before. So figuring out what we can do in return is part of it. And part of it is just getting the message out. Goodwill's a prime example of that. They have been amazing for us. They volunteered there. Those are not here yet. I will point this out. So we do have pre-made masks that are on back order because part of what we wanted to do as a fundraiser, because masks were something that was needed. We found a site that we could order masks off of. Mm-hmm. And in order to provide our general population with pre-made masks, what we found after we ordered them is that they're on back order and it doesn't look like they're coming in till May 15th. At the time it was supposed to be immediately, but the people we ordered this from got hit at the same exact time. So I'll get an update on there, but we will have the ability to order masks too for those who can pay for it. The money that will go for the masks will continue to fund the effort for people who cannot pay for the masks, people in assisted living, skilled nursing environment.
All right, awesome.
I do want to briefly speak up too, because it's another project that we have underway. We've partnered nationally. I've been on several phone calls now with Electronic Caregiver. What we did when we realized that this was happening is there was a few situations where we realized that we needed remote monitoring to keep the bottlenecking from the healthcare system from happening. What doctors were telling us is that people were needing to be remotely monitored, but there were no systems in place. And during one of our meetings, we had a major aha that we had those resources right in our community. And Beth Steger with Electronic Caregiver put me in connection with their corporate people, and we've had a multitude of conversations. We had the doctors that were advising us test the product. So we actually paid for the product for them to, because I think monthly monitoring is about $50. It's really inexpensive, and it offers a 24-hour access to telemedicine.
Wow.
So there's a lot of, I could talk for days at this point about Electronic Caregiver, because I brought the product into my home to monitor my own vitals. to test it out. Because if we were going to recommend or endorse any product, we wanted to know how it worked and how it worked from a user perspective. And when I wasn't feeling so good, my mom was like, go get a spirometer. My mom's a nurse. I went out looking for a spirometer and couldn't find one anywhere. Well, electronic caregiver has one. So I was able to monitor my vitals during the time. And my doctor used it to see how I was doing during the whole time, because that way, if anything was recognized, because what we found out about COVID is that it affects your vitals. So we even found out some information that we weren't hearing. That was the general rule of thumb, is that what we were hearing from the hospitals is that some of the symptoms that people were showing weren't your typical symptoms. They weren't the fever, they weren't the cough. Is what they were is that people had maybe no symptoms or just weirdness going on. So the ability to monitor yourself from home, have the information go right to your practitioner, and the practitioner or a nurse that was monitoring the vitals could let us know if something was out of normal range, and that the doctors could be more responsive. So during this time frame, we've partnered with Electronic Caregiver. We're rolling that out into some communities. And we've rolled that out into the general public to try to keep people safer at home that need to be quarantined.
Yeah, that's an excellent resource, and I'll make sure I put Beth's information. I think I actually saw her watching. I think she's still watching on the Facebook Live. So hi, Beth.
There's been a lot of times during this process that when I was listening to State of the Nation addresses and Como talking about what was happening in New York, when they were saying, you should do this, you should do this, you should do this, I would call Beth and I'm like, Electronic Caregiver can do that, can it? It was amazing to realize that all this time that she's been out there talking to people is that what they have can do a lot what needs to be done. And I became a major electronic caregiver proponent because I was monitoring my own vitals. And from a user standpoint, to have that aha moment when you're like, oh my God, I've been talking to Beth about this for 3 years and didn't get it. Didn't really get what it done because I didn't take the time to listen.
Sure. And she is watching. She just said, hi, ladies. So, you know, Mama Bird's watching, so just be careful.
So we've partnered, and they are our provider of telemonitoring through Mcan. So we're looking at our grants to fund people that it can basically be paid for 4 different ways. Medicare pays for it. People didn't know that. If the doctor writes the order, Medicare will pay for it. We're looking into the Medicaid funding. We had to go to a state level to look at that. Private pay, Mcan is saying that we will provide grants for people to monitor them at homes. And then there's private pay. So it shouldn't be anybody that it couldn't help with.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that. And obviously the Manatee Sarasota PPE mask is a huge, huge deal. So thank you for all your hard work with that. And it's obviously going to continue to change people's lives and save lives. So for everybody that might be jumping on now or kind of midway through, you can find out more information there's a Facebook group called Manatee Sarasota PPE Mask, or you can go onto Mcan's website, which is Manatee County agingnetwork.org. And you can find out if you want to volunteer, you want to donate some funds, you want to help with the deliveries. There's all sorts of great information on Mcan's website.
And so, you did mention a couple of things. There are other 501c3s that have gotten involved that we will speak to in another announcement, because it's become a bigger effort and we're partnering with other parts of the community. Part of what we're figuring out now is how, because anytime you have to go up that chain to find out whether it's monies, whether it's time, whatever. I did want to just mention that because there were people I did not mention in this who have been actively, sometimes daily, engaged in this effort. And the only reason I haven't said anything is I'm waiting on the word to say, hey, what is it that you all want me to say?
Sure. We'll do another announcement, of course, with that. So any last words of wisdom for anybody out there, whether it's caregivers or professionals?
For caregivers, I would say reach out. And the goal of Manatee County Aging Network in general is to put you in communication with someone who can help you sort out what need it is you have. There are a lot of programs, even at a state level and at a local level, that people do not know exists. And the only way that we can help you find what those resources are is if you've reached us, and you can ask the question both through the Facebook page and the website. And to the professionals, is that this is an opportunity for our community to come together. Our community has told us what they need, what they are needing, and it's different, I think, than what we've seen before. What you have the opportunity to do right now is save lives. So where we would gladly let people take the reins on projects that they think are going to help save lives in any way that we can. So doing it together is the best way.
That's right. Well, I really appreciate you coming on and telling everybody more about the organization. And of course, it's always great seeing you, and you're looking great. So if there's anybody who does need some more information, feel free to reach out to, even through Seniors Blue Book. I can get you Hope's information, which I will add to the post. But just feel free to reach out, and hope everybody stays safe and has a wonderful rest of their Tuesday.
One more thing, Brittany. We
Absolutely.
do a call as a group together 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We're always welcome to have anybody join that call, and you can hear what goes on behind the scenes in the discussions that we're having, because the discussions we are having are not particular to any one group. We want to bring in people who are involved in our community and hear where we're hearing struggles or obstacles that we need to overcome. Anybody wants to join us on the call, we'll get you an invite. It is a Zoom call, and love to hear what you have to say, things that you're running into out there.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you again, Hope, for spending time with us today, and hope everybody that's been watching has a wonderful rest of their day.
Thank you, Brittany.
Thanks, Hope. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.